Welcome to ETHeREAL, where we keep it real. This is going to be your July 18th update around the Ethereum cryptocurrency, and I make these videos every day in quick, short format so I can get you the most important news that day regarding Ethereum. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Let's jump right into it. First story today, and probably the most important story around Ethereum and cryptocurrency in general in a long time. President signs the Genius Act into law. First U.S. stablecoin rules are finally released. So what happened was the president inked the bill that forced dollar peg tokens to hold 100% cash to T-bill reserves and publish money audits. Now the impact this has is going to be crazy. Gives dollar stablecoins a clear legal home, more issuers, heavier on-chain volume, mostly on Ethereum, by the way, that these stablecoins are living on, which is important to mention, which is why I'm covering it on this channel, as well as stronger institutional comfort with holding or using ETH for fees. This is huge. This is exactly the sort of outcome we wanted to see, and we called this on our videos all the way from back Sunday this weekend when we were talking about these bills that are going to be going through Crypto Week as far as what we expected as far as outcome. And then once the House passed that bill and went to the president's desk, yesterday's video and the day before, we pretty much confirmed that we had little to no doubt that the president would sign that. And here we are. So that's great news for where we're at. Next piece of news, we have Ether hits a 6-month high, almost near $3,700. Crypto equity names rally. So what happened was the signing of the news, obviously, and the record ETF demand. Ethereum has jumped about 7% to 36.75, dragging the Ethereum treasury stock up 6 to 13%. We're talking about the ones I covered in last week's later in the week videos, stuff like SharpLink, BTCS, BitMine, all those companies that are traded on the more legacy markets, if you will, the stock markets. Those companies that are announcing treasury strategies around ETH have all seen amazing gains. This is not financial advice, but for full disclosure, I have invested in some of those companies, and the short-term gains I've already experienced are astronomical. So I'm not even sure what to expect once Ethereum really makes its moves and we really start heading towards actual all-time highs. That being said, the fresh momentum is tightening up funding and may squeeze remaining shorts. Higher price and stablecoin tailwind can lift network revenues and sentiment across DeFi and NFT markets. Those are markets that have kind of been on the backbone ever since Ethereum or crypto in general took a hit back in 2022. So when we start seeing those sectors get revived even more so than they are at this point, we're going to see some really strong moves, and just overall really good progress on the price action and whatnot, value meant for Ethereum. Last story of the day here that I want to cover, and I really like this because the name should already pull you in. Charles Schwab says spot Bitcoin and Ethereum trading is coming soon. $10.7 trillion Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is one of the most classic brokers in America, United States, if you will. I'm sure they're global. I'm not sure exactly, but that kind of goes to speak more so to my point that they're kind of around for the older generations. All of the older generations are the ones that use Charles Schwab, maybe give or take some younger kids that have been filled into it by their parents or their grandparents. So all of old money, so to say, is on Charles Schwab. And anybody who doesn't go on the internet or doesn't read the news too often as far as finance goes, their first exposure is going to be if their broker is Charles Schwab bringing in Ethereum and crypto spot trading. This is amazing news. We're talking about some really deep pockets that are going to have a trusted platform that they've always used now opening up its gates. So now we're talking about what happened was CEO Rick Verster confirmed that the brokerage will direct ETH trading and is even eyeing its own stablecoin. I don't want to get into the latter part of that because that won't necessarily really directly affect ETH unless the stablecoin's ETH based, which I'm assuming it will be, but we'll have to see, and I'll make sure to report on that as we find out. But as far as the ETH trading, that's only bullish. That's the biggest bullish news as far as one of these most classic brokerage firms in America that's going in this direction. So the impact this has is it's going to put ETH on the menu for millions of mainstream investors, like I said, through a household brokerage brand, expanding potential spot demand, and reinforcing crypto's march into traditional finance. Exactly the sort of stuff we want to see. As far as before we move into our normal segment of ending the video with a quick technical analysis, I do want to touch on the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act and the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. These are both acts that we talked about on Sunday that we'd be looking out for during this crypto week. And I am happy to announce that House has passed all 3 of these acts, or bills if you will, and only one of which, the Genius, has head to the president's desk for signing and has already been signed. The other 2 that I just mentioned need to clear the Senate. Whatever form of, amendments or as is approved, whatever that comes down to, it still needs to clear the Senate before it heads to the president's desk to be signed. Obviously, it'll keep you clear and updated on those, but as of now, I did want to give you a quick update because we did mention those coming up this week and I didn't want to leave it hanging. So as far as updates around those, it's very positive. They all passed the House, but only one of which has been signed. The other 2 are headed to the Senate, which again, I'm very confident that these all will pass. It's just a matter of time. And right now that's a little up in the air, so we'll make sure to keep you posted as that happens. So now let's jump into our last segment of the video, which is a quick technical analysis. I don't like to go too deep and too much, but I give you as much value as I can. As you can see in today's price action, I hate to toot my own horn, but this is exactly what we predicted in yesterday's video and maybe even 2 days ago in our technical analysis portions of those news videos. And we predicted that Ethereum would potentially test and break above this level and then cool off. And as we've seen across all the entire sectors, there's been some cooling off going into this weekend. And although our cooling off was prepared for much more than this, I mean, this is nothing as far as cooling off. We were predicting back down to here 3,300 levels or maybe even lower, and maybe we are still in store for that. And that might even happen deeper into the weekend. I'll make sure to do some live streams if you're tuned in, subscribe to catch those. But for now, the cooling off is happening as we called it, just not as dramatically as we planned. And we're getting some good support line off this 13-day EMA. So I'm curious to see how the rest of Friday ends up and how this price action looks going into Saturday. But as far as immediate technical analysis and what we're expecting is some sideways action, maybe potentially slightly even lower as we said. And as we get some more bullish news and headlines like some of the ones on this video, I'm not at all would be surprised if Ethereum starts testing this 4,000 level. And like we said, once it goes above that 4,000 level or even gets near it, and we start hitting a price discovery range for Ethereum, that's when things are actually going to start getting exciting, because it's been a very long time since Ethereum's been in a price action discovery kind of phase. So I'll make sure to keep you posted on all of that. I appreciate all your time for tuning in. New subscribers, thanks for tuning in. New viewers, make sure to subscribe. I deliver these videos every single day and some live streams over the weekend to give you the most important news around Ethereum as fast as I can, and I do these in concise, quick format videos so you don't sit there for minutes and minutes and even hours watching the stuff. It's a quick, everyday thing you can tune in and tune out. Again, thanks for your time. I appreciate it, and ETHeREAL, keep it real.